Welcome to Pink Pearl Tarot. I'm Eleanor. Today's Pick a Card Tarot reading is inspired by the Wheel of Fortune card. So the question is how to stay centered in the midst of chaos. And as much as we use cards to find our power in situation, there will still always be circumstances outside of our control. That's the Wheel of Fortune. So power resides in how we dance with it and recenter and adjust. So stack 1 is bloom, stack 2 is dreaming, stack 3 is decision. They are timestamped below, and let's get right to it. All right, stack 1 with this beautiful bloom card. And your affirmation over here, you have the 3 of Swords, the Devil, and the 5 of Wands. Okay, I'm sure you have heard the phrase bloom where you're planted, right? And that's talking about, the weed that grows through the concrete and it doesn't have to have any kind of special circumstances. It's like, I'm going to thrive right here no matter what. But anyway, I'm going to circle back to that. So I should start with this 3 of Swords and the Devil, because the Devil is a leash and it has you tied to the rim of that wheel and tossed this way and that by external circumstances, by way of some kind of unhealed pain. Now, this is not some kind of vague, never-ending healing process that is commonly referenced in tarot readings. That's just an ongoing process that it's not required to ever be completed as a prerequisite to happiness, because it's just ongoing. It's forever. You can't wait for that to be finished. It won't be. This is a specific hurt. It's an unhealed wound in particular that has you chained to this capricious way the world can sometimes operate. And it's robbing you of the resilience that you would need to thrive in imperfect conditions. So maybe this hurt happened under certain conditions, and rather than put your energy into healing it, you've put it into making sure those conditions are never in place again. Or maybe just into fear or hypervigilance. And it totally makes sense that you would feel unsafe. And I would be negligent. Anytime I see the 3 of Swords, I need to start making a point to do this, to never forget to say when the 3 of Swords comes up that whatever comes out could potentially be better handled with a therapist than alone. So they're not saying, oh, just get over it and force yourself into situations that aren't safe. At the same time, addressing this wound would help towards no longer having that need for everything to be exactly so at all times in order for you to feel safe, because it just isn't realistic. It's like you're trying to stay invisible so as to stay safe from harm to your ego. It's like there's a sense with that 5 of Wands that everything is a struggle, everything's a competition, better not try than to try and fail. And it's like, I will only put myself out there as the most excruciatingly curated version of myself possible. Or if you keep as low a profile as possible, maybe life won't mess with you so much. Or something to the effect of waiting for everything to be exactly so before you put yourself out there or allow yourself to be seen or to come into your power. But that's not true power, is it? That's the opposite. That's dependence. That's a dependence on external circumstances. So, but I mean, that resilience won't come on its own. It can't be commanded or forced. You might have to address this pain first. I'm sorry, it feels like it's coming out really janky, but I can feel the resistance, and so I'm second guessing myself. There's something about experiencing external resistance with that 5 of Wands that's affecting your self-confidence and making you feel like you can only express yourself if there is never any pushback. There will always be pushback. That's the chaos that you can't control. And it's like if I were to never put out another video because of one negative comment, I would have quit a long time ago. There will always be obstacles to grow around and to grow through, and they're urging you to no longer allow obstacles to be a reason to keep yourself small or hiding. And just to be clear, I'm seeing ego bruising here, not like genuinely not safe, like physical danger type things. That would be a totally different thing. Like this could be a rejection wound, and it's resulted in a need for guaranteed success before showing your colors. Nothing is guaranteed in life, and your center in the chaos lies in acceptance of that and creating a strategy for healing those little dings and those little pushbacks. Or you will always be tethered to the rim of that wheel, to those external circumstances. And they want you to reclaim your power from the environment and then recenter it into yourself. Cultivate some sort of resilience and surrender this idea of how the world should be, or even like stand up for how you think the world should be instead of shrinking away because it isn't that way. yet. Resilience does not mean ignoring reality or tolerating abuse. And that's kind of the whole point of this reading, is to acknowledge that you aren't in control or at fault with everything in this world. The world is full of very real adversity, and you have to practice self-care in order to show up in it. And at the same time, it's not going to fix itself, and it's not going to ever get out of your way. So don't wait for it to get out of your way before you show up for yourself. So it's not about how much you can put up with, it's how you allow yourself to heal and recover when the world bumps into you. So let's see what your affirmation is. It says, life happens, learn to go with the flow. Well, that's a little bit simpler way of putting it. I hope that helps. There's a lot there to think about and unpack, so take your time with it. Thanks for your time. See you next time. All right, stack 2 with Dreaming. Such a beautiful deck. I lost my words for a minute, so we'll set the affirmation aside for a minute, and you have the Ace of Cups, the Chariot. God, I love this deck. And you have the Hierophant in reverse. So this is very much about maintaining focus on a goal and holding your vision and continuing to nurture it. So in dance or other physical activities that require balance, they say to focus on a single spot, like on the wall, for anchoring yourself when you're doing turns or when you're balancing on one foot. You fix your gaze. And so they're telling you to fix your gaze. This Hierophant in reverse, it shows the chaos stems from a lack of structure, which now that I say that sounds kind of stupid. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it's not that it is defined as a lack of structure, but that it has arisen from a lack of structure and is maintained and fueled by that absence of a scaffold. Anyway, your dream or goal might not make sense to the outside world. It might be not very externally structurally supported. So there's something of a gyroscopic sea compass here within you, and it is almost like a dance. And this says eyes forward, fix your gaze, and let your heart be the navigator. It's like Luke training blindfolded, to use the Force and hit that moving target with the blindfold on with the lightsaber. In fact, I was thinking blinders earlier, but I didn't say it just yet. But focusing on the chaos that's swirling around you is going to derail and disorient you. So blindfold yourself to that, and then use the Force, your heart, to focus on your wish. Focus on all the little ways you have evidence that it's coming true. It's very Eye of the Tiger energy. So use music if you want to. It's like you need an anti-establishment theme song of some kind, like an anthem or a fight song. Or like, Stranger Things, how they used music. They used her favorite song to pull that girl back from the mind control of the bad guy. I don't remember names right now, but it was that Kate Bush song, I think. Anyway, the Hierophant reverse can imply the need for some deprogramming. So this Dreaming card, it also has a message in it about the company you keep and surrounding yourself with people who share or support your vision. So reality is kind of an agreed upon thing, and so the more people who agree with you on your reality, the more likely you can manifest what you want. Now watch out, because that can become a powerful group delusion too. So it's more just about keeping company that is supportive of you. Why hang out with someone who doesn't believe in you, right? Hard enough to focus on your vision in a chaotic world without choosing more of that with your social orbit. So keep that a nice frame around your target. And also take time to let your mind wander before you get burned out, because this is kind of, if you don't really have a well-defined goal, do some meditation or stargazing or dancing and see what it stirs up from your heart, almost like a witch's cauldron pulling up images and visions like in the movies or the cartoons. But utilize creative visualization. Even if it's not on a wish or dream, you can use it to just visualize calm, your inner safe, quiet space. And finally, it's talking about wishing isn't enough. You might have to work on your belief, getting your emotions to support the thought form. So focus on purpose, and whether that has yet taken on a form or not, follow that feeling and it'll come. So let's see what your affirmation is. It says, hope better days will come again. Oh, that's sweet. See, it's talking about your belief. All right, stack 2, I hope that helps, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you. All right, stack 3 with decision. Set your affirmation over here. You have the Ace of Pentacles reversed, the World, and the Hanged Man reversed. Okay. So take action and be decisive. All right, so let's unpack that. So being frozen in indecision creates exactly the rigidity that makes you vulnerable to being knocked around by the waves. It's the constant ability to course correct, make decision after decision. Even if one isn't great, it's not getting stuck there and making the next, kept from making the next decision. So that is fluidity, changeability, because you are a choice-making machine. You can't get it wrong as long as you don't stop and dig in on the last choice. So if a choice results in you getting knocked down, you still have the next choice to make. Get up or keep getting trampled. They're saying to disinvest from getting a perfect outcome from each choice, or you'll stay in paralysis. So holding on to having gotten it wrong makes the next one so much harder. I mean, besides, maybe you didn't actually get it wrong, but circumstances change so fast that there literally is no perfect choice that's even possible, because everything is moving all the time and fluctuating. So you stay centered by dancing on the shifting soil with that decisive frame of mind. And if you're focused on your last mistake, you could miss your next opportunity. I mean, does this mean to be willy-nilly? No, that's a great path towards more chaos, of course, but you're dancing with the waves, not stirring up more. It just means don't go stiff as a board and sink to the bottom. It's like there's a need for presence and mindfulness and awareness as well, especially if you're reaching fatigue. So I'm going to come back to that, but I want to talk about this World card with the Hangman reversed. And while the Hangman talks about changing your perspective and focusing on a different aspect, it's reversed and paired with the World. So take it all in as a cohesive whole. There's a degree to where focusing on one thing doesn't make sense set on a backdrop of chaos, because what you realize is that you aren't using that focus to anchor you. You're just being tossed around with it on the same chaotic path. Like exactly the way the earth seems and feels so fixed, but it is actually spinning and rotating. It's doing laps. And the thing it's doing laps around is also on a whirling spiral. So if you zoom out, there's actually order. It's almost like they're saying to become bigger than the chaos, to see broadly enough to perceive the order, the cycles that are actually taking place and interlocking, creating an illusion of chaos. And then you use that decisiveness to ride it like a surfer. And there will be curveballs. There's always curveballs, and you'll be fine as long as your grip is relatively loose. I mean, just because you can't control everything doesn't mean that you can't predict some things and be proactive around them. And still, not everything. Life is full of surprises. But anyway, back to that decision-making fatigue. They say to prioritize sleep in order to fuel your brain for all of the decisions it has to make in a day. The more tired you are, the more likely your decisions will be put off, they'll be hasty, or they'll be overanalyzed. So perfectionism supercharges decision-making fatigue when you put too much energy into trying to make sure each one is perfect. So you can set some decisions on autopilot. Once you can predict something on a cycle, you fix it to that cycle, and that's only one decision instead of remaking it every time that cycle repeats, right? Like it's like Taco Tuesday, right? When you make that decision for Tuesdays, you make that decision once, and then every Tuesday that decision's already made. And that's just a silly example, but that's kind of what they're getting at there. So your affirmation is connect. Call a dear friend or a loved one. That's actually great advice with that too, because one of the things they do suggest to avoid decision-making fatigue is to delegate. You can outsource some of that. Be like, you know what, my decision is that you're going to make that decision. That's all cool. All right, so I hope that helps. I hope that helps you find some centeredness, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you.